Let me know that the screen is working, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. Running while black. Now there was another article in the Washington Times that they decided to deny me for some curious, fun reason. So instead, we also had this. So I wanted to take a look at it because we suddenly have this phenomenon of black people complaining that they can't be joggers. And I just find that absolutely hilarious because I thought the jogging was a little part of the problem. I mean, like you saw in the airport there was some jogging, and we're seeing jogging. That's a problem. But they're saying they can't jog. This is actually, I'm going to try to be a little serious, a serious example of anti-whiteism. Because what is the problem for these blacks who want to jog? Well, the problem is that white people jog at all. The problem is that they have to see white people. The problem is that they have to be around if they're going to look in the jogging magazines, if they're going to go to a jogging event, like a long run, maybe. These arguments, they have to be around white people. And they're complaining that they are injured by this, by the presence of white people. But of course, they're not going to say, we just need to get rid of you. They're going to say that, well, we've got to carve out a space for us blacks, when they've never been prohibited from jogging. They've never been stopped. Anybody can put on a pair of sneakers and head out and have a jog, but they have to create this illusion, this lie within the anti-white narrative, which will be put into entertainment in has been numerous iterations, will be put into classrooms where they will talk about how blacks are harmed because white people aren't inviting enough when it comes to jogging. I shit you not. That's seriously how ridiculous anti-whiteism is. But do not fall into the trap that a white cuck will fall, which is just to laugh at this and think that you can laugh it away. Think that you can snide it away, because you can't do that. You have to address the anti-whites. You have to address that the outcome of their desires, of their objectives, is white erasure. What is wrong with these people? Why are they so anti-white? Runners are skinny white people, lowercase w. This was what Allison, we'll just call her by her first name, thought until she came across a social media post from a friend. A 200-pound black man who was training for his first marathon, looking for a way to break through the persistent bout of depression. She signed up for a marathon as well. Now, where does the depression come from? It's going to be the fault of white people. So you're being blamed again. Much to her surprise, after 16 weeks of training with a Leukemia and Lymphoma Society running club in Manhattan Central Park, Allison completed the race. And from then on, she was hooked. So what do you understand from that very first paragraph is that she's a black woman. She went out because of her depression, to train so that she could run a marathon, have something to do with her life. And the white people in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I'd be willing to bet that it's majority white people, they were like, get out, you filthy Ahmed Aubrey jogger. Oh, actually, no, they didn't say that. They said, come right on in, Allison, come right on in. Everybody's welcome to jog, and we will train you so that you can escape your affliction of depression. As a consequence of these white people being kind to her and helping her out, her depression was addressed and she was hooked on jogging. In her new memoir, yeah, I could just totally see the white people. I could see the white joggers. You know, when a black person walked in, They were like, oh, do you see that filthy non-white into the room? Surely we can make them depart because jogging is only for us, white people. We will make them feel terrible by helping them cure the depression. Then they will never return and we will be done with their filthiness. In her new memoir, Running While Black. So here's the way she repays the white people at the Cancer Society. Here's how she repays them. In her new memoir, Running While Black, which seems like super redundant. Isn't that like, I mean, with Wakanda and with the guy in the airport and everything this weekend. I mean, come on. Finding freedom in a sport, subtitle, Finding Freedom in a Sport That Wasn't Built for Us. So stabbing white. So isn't this so true to form? White people welcoming non-white people, embracing them, helping them with their problems. And then what happens if the non-white person is anti-white, turns right around, stabs him in the back? Now, why is it that Allison feels that she is somehow wronged or injured by this? What's the tangible essence of the problem? That white people are there. White people are in the Cancer Society's jogging club. And so she feels injured by looking around and seeing white people. Let me ask you, Allison, do you kind of feel like a need to be around your own people? Maybe go start Wakanda? Maybe don't come into our spaces and tell us with these circuitous anti-white arguments that we are evil because so many of us in our space are white. Maybe don't do that, you piece of shit. She tells her story of her non-traditional path to long-distance running. Along the way, she reframes the history of American running. Oh, she reframes it to be anti-white. Reframes the history of American running. So white people in America were like, hey, you want to jog? We could jog. This could be like a new thing. And we went out and jogged. Sometimes we jog by ourselves, sometimes together. Companies come together and they're like, hey, we'll make jogging shoes. How about shorts for jogging? How about, and then they start selling that stuff. Now there's a new history where white people, the whole purpose of jogging was to exclude blacks. This is so despicable. Along the way, she reframes the history of American running by including contributions of little known yet influential black runners. Yeah, white America hasn't celebrated black athletes enough. That's the problem. When it comes to running and jogging and sprinting and playing sports, we don't celebrate blacks enough.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit.
We need more celebration of blacks. The fact that we only celebrate them all the time is evidence of how evil the white race is. Runners like ultra marathon pioneer Ted Corbett, and of course, just other blacks. You should be celebrating them. If you're white, you should defer and not jog. In the decades since her start in the sport, when white people helped her at the Cancer Society, she's completed many runs, including the New York and Boston marathons and the run for all women from Harlem to Washington, D.C. She's also served as a, can we conclude that since you ran for this all women thing, women, that you're anti-white? Because I wonder if we ran for white males, if you would conclude that that was evil. She also served as a founding co-chair of the Running Industry Diversity Coalition, which you're not going to be surprised, is focused on white erasing jogging. I wish this were a joke. A nonprofit founded in July 2020 that is devoted to increasing racial equity and fostering greater inclusion across all aspects of the sport and the associated industries, the sport of jogging. I mean, you can't really fathom how anti-white this anti-white pig actually is. That she wants to white erase something that the vast majority of people do by themselves. Every now and again, they get together to run in marathons, and it's a competition. It's amongst each other. It's a personal challenge for people. But you see too many white bodies. That's your problem. This is how these kind of people should be addressed. As Running While Black makes a case for why anyone might consider giving running a try, it also delivers a searing indictment of the ways in which the running industry perpetuates white supremacy and the marginalization of non-white voices. What in the fuck are you talking about? You are an anti-white piece of filth. In all sports, blacks are everywhere, celebrated everywhere, fawned after everywhere by the media, by the population. Interviewed everywhere, lauded everywhere. Algorithms drive audiences over and over to where they just can't help themselves but follow, because they're being driven again and again and again to black content creators, non-white content creators focused on fitness, on jogging, on running, on track, etc. But she says that's not enough. They're marginalized. How you can only make these arguments when any white people is a problem. When a single white person is a problem for you. A single white interview is a problem for you. Allison also advocates for concrete steps the sport can take toward becoming inclusive. I wonder what these are going to be. I'm interested. Are you interested? What can the sport, tag me as No White Guilt if you have any ideas for what the sport can do to become less white, because that's what inclusive means. To become white erased. What can the sport really do? Tag me as No White Guilt. And here is, look at this. Doesn't she look like a charming piece of shit? Look at that anti-white, vile, angry black female. Angry, anti-white black female. Now, she's interviewed by NPR. She's interviewed by mainstream news. They are selling her anti-white filth book in on the biggest platforms and advertising it. Or is NPR going to interview me? I was a star athlete. Are my books going to be pushed? Absolutely not. To both of those. But she's the one who's marginalized. I am the one enjoying, quote, white supremacy. By the way, with that gut, does that look like she runs much? I think we need to investigate whether or not she actually finished these races. More rolls in a bakery coming off this one. Allison spoke to NPR because she's marginalized and pushed out of jogging by the white supremacists about how running transformed her relationship to her body. So she was in worse shape before this? What the fuck? She was in worse shape? Starting a running club in Harlem focused on attracting more people of color. And that's an MP. We never say that. More non-whites. The MP, people of color, excludes us from humanity. And the people who use it are anti-white. And what she tells people who are intimidated by marathons. Now, I'm intimidated by marathons. I can't run a marathon. Never would want to. Who the hell would want to do that? So, am I somehow suffering the bigotry of white supremacy also? I'm going to guess not. When did you first get the idea to write this book? After the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. We will get a statue of Ahmaud Arbery if we don't recapture our destiny. If a percentage of the white race doesn't become a people, we will have a statue of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. That's what happened, wasn't it? South Georgia. That will happen. And it'll be him looking like a gold medalist with somebody else's toolbox. This is so disgusting. It's for me, I got to be honest. It's comical because it's ridiculous. It's totally absurd. At the same time, it's so nefarious and it's so spotlighted. It's so promulgated. It's also such a tell and a reveal, an educational opportunity when we're trying to convey the truth about anti-whiteism, how this motivates these notions, how to defeat these notions. She literally says, after the murder of the God King, Jogger King Ahmaud Arbery, for simply jogging, all he did was jog. He jogged while black. You can't do anything while black. You could only be fawned after by every college campus and have the prettiest white females throwing themselves at their feet. You can only get, now they can be legally paid. They were paid under the table for decades. Now you can just get legally paid and have sports cars given to you for running while being black. That's all Ahmed was doing. Can you see that father and his son? And they're like, there's no one of them damn joggers. Get the guns. I mean, I wrote this op-ed piece right before Mother's Day, which is also Ahmed's birthday, about this new weight of living in this world as a black woman with a son. What, no father in the picture? Surprise, surprise. Who one day may find himself in spaces where he's unable to move freely, like a cell because he's broken the law, where he has to correct himself or make himself small in order to appease the white gaze. We aren't the same. We aren't the same. This woman is anti-white. She's suffering from not only the anti-whiteism, but the fact that in a white society, you are expected. To some degree, it's still left, more so in some places than others, to imitate our norms, to imitate our sensibilities. You're still expected in some places to some degree. In some places, it's completely white erased. And she says that's oppressive. We should be able to be our black selves. I agree. Someplace else. So to appease the white gaze, she specifically is saying there that it's our demand that you comport yourself a specific way in our society. That's what she's saying when she says appease their white gaze. She's identifying that the condemnation if there is some sort of deviation from our norms, comes specifically from white people. It's not a universal, cuck brothers and sisters out there. It's not a universal. She's not saying they're expected to appease this universal norm of behavior. No, she is correctly saying it's the white norm of behavior that we're expected to comport ourselves to. And I talked about how the running industry, the running community has always been deeply racially divided. What does that mean when she says that? Does this woman, do you sense that she wants to be with white people? Of course not. She doesn't want to be around white people at all. So when she says, we're really prying open the mind of an anti-white. When she says that the running community has been deeply racially divided, what she's saying is there are still places where there are white people. I still have to see them. They still show up in ads. When I see a marathon and they got the start line and they've got that piece of tape or whatever it is that runs across the front, it's all white. It looks like all white people to me. That's a problem for anti-whites. When you really learn to understand and appreciate where they're coming from, where an anti-white is coming from, you can orient yourself to address the actual questions of how we remedy it and what they're going to do next and what they are doing and what they have done. The op-ed went viral. Of course it did, because of anti-whites and because the system pushes it. Black folks were like, quote, "Thank you for finally putting this into words, what our experience is." And many white people were completely shocked, had never considered what it was to run as somebody who was not white. This is so sickening. And I was like, okay, I need to write this book so that it hopefully draws awareness to these inequities. What inequities? That white people exist. What then are inequities in hiring at the hospital? What are inequities at enrollment at the university? What are inequities in hiring at the police department, in the military, in the fire department? This is what anti-whites mean. The inequity is that white people are present. When I was running my first marathon, I was depressed. I was struggling with anxiety. My body was like a shell. And also, I just got the white people that she's talking about here. And I know there were white people like reacting the way she said, completely shocked, had never considered. But why would we? We welcomed you into the Cancer Foundation's jogging society. And then you end up with white people that literally look around the room, especially airheaded young white females. They look around the room and they're like, wow, there are a lot of white people. That is problematic. My body was a shell. I would say it was more like a blob. And all I wanted was to mute any kind of feeling I had. I was drinking. Really? Huh, I wouldn't have guessed. I was overdosing. No way. Don't believe it. Taking Xanax. And what running provided for me was my body was awakened again. It was simple things like recognizing that, when I run the distance, I have pain in my muscles. I've been working hard. Or when I'm running at this place, my breath sounds like this. I just started to notice, talk about the abecedarian observations of a vegetable. I just started to notice what was going on with my body and receive that feedback, which is a really powerful force. Many of us are so disconnected from our bodies. Listen, lady, you were very connected. That's how you got looking like that. You were ingesting drugs. You were very connected. We start to lose sense of what our body is telling us. So running for me was reconnecting with who I was. Then, of course, they love in all of the like history books and everything. When I was a child, I noticed that whenever they showed pictures of races, they always showed blacks beating whites. If it was pole vaulting, high jumping, discus, whatever it was blacks beating whites. Always. That's not enough. White people are even in the picture. And I want that experience for everybody. It doesn't necessarily just come through running. It can come through walking, kayaking, hiking. I guess all these things have to be white erased too. Any activity that's repetitive that allows you to receive feedback and gain insight into yourself. I completed the first marathon and I knew that I wanted to continue running, but I also knew that throughout my experience, there were mostly white people around. She literally says this right there. She knew that she wanted to continue running, but she knew that throughout her experience, there were mostly white people there. This is the true aim of anti-whiteism. People should have been listening to me 3 decades ago. I wanted to ultimately share this transformation with other people like me. I knew there were other black people in my community who, if only they started long distance running, they could feel the same. So, in other words, white people are preventing them from doing something healthy for themselves. And we find this in arguments across the spectrum of healthcare, that black people are hit harder. Do you remember with COVID? The non-white people were the front line hit by COVID. We all had to set aside extra dollars of our own. We had to set aside our own health and well-being for the black people who are suffering more, and other non-white people who always suffer more than us. So she says, I started this organization, Harlem Run. It was through building it that I first became aware that there was an industry out there, that there are people who want to sell us things. My God, really? There are people who are feeding this idea of who a runner is. Okay, so let me get this right, you dumb anti-white black bitch. Let me get this right. And we have good black females in this community. And this is not one of them. So let me ask this. You just got done saying that everywhere you went, it was white. Everywhere you turned, marathons, jogging with the Cancer Society, all these runs you did, it's all white. Then you just complained that retailers are selling their products to white people. That white people, you know what's next, are going to be in the advertisements because the retailers are selling to this massive population of white people. Another interesting element to that, I guess we'll see if she does go into the advertising, but another interesting element to that is if she does, like so many anti-whites, go into the advertising and saying, I don't see myself in the advertising. If that's a problem for you, then guess what, anti-white and cucks out there? That's a problem for us. Going through all of my schooling and seeing all blacks winning all of the events is a problem for me and all the other white kids. At the time, I thought that a runner was a skinny white person. That's what she concluded, based on her observation of running. I remember looking at magazines and thinking, wow, there are only white people on the cover. Man, I know anti-whites too well. I started to realize these messages didn't just appear in my head. I'm consuming the industry the way This sport is commodified. Why is it commodified that way? Because the people buying the products are white. Why is flesh tone band-aids produced by white people at white companies the color of the shades of our skin? Because we are the ones buying them from white people making them. All right. What else does she say? I knew I was making a difference when the same people kept coming back. It was people who were looking forward to this Monday evening activity because there was an opportunity to share stories with folks. So non-white blacks, I guess anti-white blacks, probably predominantly, coming together who share the hobby of jogging. Okay, you're allowed to do that. No white people are stopping you. Hey, you know what? If you want to start a business that sells sneakers or shoes or whatever to black joggers, why? Buy some advertising and put blacks on it. People were starting to feel really vulnerable pieces of themselves. People were challenging themselves physically and also as adults. Okay, yada, yada. Let's see. And I remember one of these guys asking, quote, can we make sweatshirts with Harlem Run on them? Yes. Yes, white people won't stop you. And I was like, oh my gosh, people want to scream from the rooftops that this is theirs. Yeah. So go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. Here it is again. Another image of a black guy, non-white guy beating white guys. This is my whole youth. Let's see. She was on a panel with Ted Corbett, organization from Harlem founded. Okay. So it's organizations for black joggers. Are organizations for white joggers permitted? Is it considered socially immoral for such a thing to happen? So would there be moral condemnation? Is there moral condemnation for a blacks only jogging group? Apparently not. So it looks like you are the one with the preferential treatment, special privileges, and freedom from responsibility. Corbett was born in the South and he lived in New York. He was just an incredible athlete. Okay, great, good for him. Ted Corbett is the person who had the idea for the 5-borough New York City Marathon. If you were to Google it, that information right now, you will likely not find that story because a white man is credited for that. Did he actually set it up? And was he white? Or is he Jewish? I mean, that would be interesting to find out. Who actually set it up? So if Ted says, you know what, I got an idea. There should be a marathon or whatever, a run for this community down here. But then he doesn't set it up Akon style and some white guy or some Jew comes along and sets it up, then obviously that person is going to be getting the credit for creating it. New York Roadrunners, which manages New York City Marathon, directly descended from New York Pioneer Club, revolutionary in saying that this would be a club for people of all races because the ones that you were participating in before were not for all races as your black self walked in and out. This was before baseball was integrated. Oh, so this is something older. And then, so white men created baseball. We built stadiums. We created baseball for our people to play, to entertain our people. We built fields and stadiums, created the whole game, modified the game to make it increasingly interesting and competitive, recruited people, created the equipment that went into it, strung electricity and lights to light it up at night. And then we said, you know what? We're going to let some of these other people of other races play. We'll create another league for them to play. So white people went out. They did all that for black people. Then they played in their own leagues for a while. And then white people said, hey, you know what? We should just let these black people play with us. Why not? And so for doing that, we're condemned as excluding them. This was before baseball was integrated. This was revolutionary. Having Jewish people, black people, and Irish folks running together. You're talking about really the creation of what we say now, and running being accessible. Yeah, these are the kind of complaint, and this is the reaching into history to find a reason to victimize you today. And that reason from history is spurious, as I just articulated. And I think, wow, what an impact would that have been if I had known that Ted Corbett and all these black men in Harlem and this organization existed. I would have known that long distance running is for me too, because my people helped create it. It's got to suck when you have to lie all the time. Your people created America. Your people created Wakanda. Your people created Egypt. You just keep stealing from us. Just keep stealing from us, and then saying that by way of equity and diversity and integration, you white erase all of us. And you'll succeed unless white people come together and become a people out of this deracinated race. I think I've really seen enough of this. I mean, it's like it just gets worse and worse. I wonder what the conclusion is. White people are gone. For many people, when they think of running, they're thinking of a particular person or a particular experience. So when I say I can't run, it's because they're thinking of Allison Felix running the 400 meters in the Olympics. But running is many things. You can move in a way that will be good for your body, and that, okay. Yeah. And you can find an all black joggers school. I mean, I thought they already exist. Many of them are called gangs.